your beautiful faces, and thank you so much for being on time. Thank you for your prompt attendance to this meeting, and we don't take it for granted. My name is Imo Anselem. I am privileged to be your host for the Tech Economy webinar business series, and this is, I believe, one of our most important webinars. And of course, during the course of the meeting, I will tell you why. And it is prevalent, and of course, we know the fact that we have a very important technology that is springing up every day, and not just because this technologies are springing up, but because it is mostly built for the use of human beings. But then we see that there are other elements who also try to use these technologies for bad. So that's why I said that this conversation is quite important, because we're bringing cybersecurity experts in the room to discuss and to also propose solutions and also their ideas on how this technology could be used ethically in Nigeria, and for, of course, the growth of our economy, the tech economy. So today we'll be discussing cybersecurity essentials and, of course, building stronger networks and communities. We have our guests, our speakers on the call. They were quite on time, which I really appreciate. So thank you so much, speakers. Thank you for taking on the time to be here, not just being here, but also being here promptly. And also we have some speakers that we're also waiting on. And of course, we also have a speaker who had to drop off because of ill health, sadly. So we wish her a quick recovery. That's We also wish her safety as well, because of course we need her in other subsequent series. But enough of the talking. Please let me know where you're joining us from. I'm privileged to joining from the capital city, Abuja. So please let me know in the chat where you're joining from. Good morning, Cletus. Good morning, Destiny. Good morning. I can see so many beautiful names here. Good morning, Victor. Good morning, Dr. Lizzie. Good morning, Teddy. Good morning, Samuel. Good morning, Victor. Please let me know where you're joining from. All right, Curtis joining from Abuja. Awesome, awesome. I have an Abuja counterpart as well. And please, if my voice, we're having Abuja representing today. Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. I guess this is where, as it is the nation's seat of power, a lot of activities are going on here. So glad to see Victor also joining in from Abuja. Thank you so, so much. So we're not going to waste any time, because time is precious. We intend to give you the best value within the time that we have, and of course within the privilege that we have to have you on the call. And just to let you know, Tech Economy has been running the business series since last year, and of course there are a lot of inputs that have been discussed, marketing essentials to building startups, to how founders can better connect within the ecosystem for fundraising and scale. So please, for anyone joining us for the first time, we have a backlog of recordings on our YouTube channel for you to digest, also share to your communities for, of course, the knowledge growth of everyone building a business, or every enthusiast who is interested in the technology space and technology sector. The more we grow, the more our country gets better, because people are going to be more empowered to build better, to do better, and of course to act better. So please, if you're not aware, we have a backlog, and of course a database and library of our past videos that you could of course digest on YouTube. And this meeting is also recorded, so after this is also going to be uploaded on YouTube as well. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. We have that out of the way. I'm going to be, of course, introducing our speakers in a short time. But of course, like I said, if you're just joining us, this is the Tech Economy Business Webinar Series. For today's topic, we're going to be discussing cybersecurity essentials, building stronger communities and stronger networks. And of course, we understand that in today's digital landscape, cybersecurity is more critical than ever. And of course, as we build and navigate an increasingly interconnected world, the need for robust security frameworks, measures, and community awareness is quite paramount. And in this session, we'll be exploring essential cybersecurity practices, discussing emerging threats, and highlighting strategies to empower our networks and communities against all of these cyber risks. And our speakers have been carefully selected and handpicked across the cybersecurity space. They are experts in their own rights, and they will share insights and, of course, on how to build a culture of cybersecurity, leveraging technology and fostering collaboration to enhance our collective security posture, either as businesses, business owners, employees, professionals, stakeholders, policymakers, or even the government as well. Thank you so much. So I will be introducing our first speaker, Mr. Cletus Agbo. I'm so impressed by Mr. Cletus Agbo's profile, and think I'm even more excited that he's also joining in from Abuja as well. All right. So give me a moment. All right. So Mr. Cletus Sabo, he is the team lead and for Inclusion AI, and of course an expert in cloud and cybersecurity. Mr. Cletus Sabo is a seasoned technology professional with deep expertise in quality assurance, cybersecurity, AI, and cloud computing. Over the course of his career, he has earned a reputation for his ability to lead cross-functional teams, implementing secure development life cycles, and delivering resilient, high-performing software solutions across fintech and enterprise systems. Cletus currently serves as the head of cybersecurity, AI, and cloud at Inclusion Technologies, a technology powerhouse that has operated for over 23 years and is renowned for building robust, industry-shaping digital solutions for Africa and beyond. And at the center of Inclusion's innovation engine is Cletus, of course, who drives the strategy and execution, and governance of enterprise-grade security systems. And his work spans across multiple strategic areas such as cloud infrastructure, AI-powered cybersecurity, security and governance, and compliance, mentorship, and leadership. So, of course, it's quite important that he's here to be with us. Thank you so much, Mr. Curtis, for honoring our invitation. Please, could you say a quick hello?
Hello, everyone. It's a privilege to be among the tech economy. I wish to share all the insights that we've learned over our career, and I wish I can be of help to you guys to solve all problems that you'll be experiencing in cybersecurity. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Cletus. So next on the call, we have Mr. Faith Shodipe. Mr. Faith is a software engineer, cybersecurity enthusiast, and a tech innovator. He's a forward-thinking software engineering expert with a passion for developing user-centric, secure, and scalable solutions. He's an expert in Flutter, and he uses it to build cross-platform mobile applications and .NET for back-end systems. And of course, Mr. Faith has a master's degree in cybersecurity, and he has excelled in leading and collaborating within teams to transform visions into functional systems. He's dedicated to using technology for social good. I love that part, particularly at the intersection of human-centered design and AI to make technology accessible and impactful for all. Hello, Mr. Faith. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you very much for that very good introduction. Good morning, everyone, and I'm so glad to be here to be able to share insights on how we can build stronger networks as well as building stronger communities, just to make sure that all of our digital assets are safe and well protected. I'm looking forward to the session. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we also have Mr. Innocent Paul. Mr. Innocent Paul is a cybersecurity business analyst, researcher, and IoT/OT security expert. He's a cybersecurity business analyst, a researcher with extensive experience in securing digital and operational environments. He has a strong background in cybersecurity strategy, process optimization, and risk management, and is specializing in integrating robust security frameworks into business operations to drive resiliency and efficiency. Mr. Innocent has driven high-impact security initiatives such as migration from Symantec endpoint protection to Microsoft Defender for endpoints, reinforcing IT and OT security in critical infrastructures. And other areas of his expertise include vulnerability management, cloud security solutions, and compliance under regulatory frameworks. And apart from his technical expertise, he loves to be involved in cross-functional collaboration to drive security strategies, aligning with business objectives. Welcome, Mr. Innocent. I'm so glad to have you on the call.
Thank you very much. Or Assalam. I don't know if I called that right. Yeah. good to have everyone, and I can't wait to share my insights and my thoughts as well to the community. Thanks very much again for having me around.
All right. Thank you so much also for honoring my call. And please, I don't know if it's just my ends, but our speakers' volumes are quite low. Tech team, please, could you help boost uh, their mics from the back end? I don't know if it's just me. Please, audience, if at any point you're not hearing either the speakers or myself, please you could prompt because we want to give you the best experience during this session and for the time that we have you here. All right. Thank you so much, speakers, and it's great to have your introductions and, of course, listen to your profile. It also gives credence to why you are here on the call. So I think I want to start with Mr. Innocent, quick fire one. Please, could you share some of the most common cybersecurity threats that organizations right now face?
Hello, Imo. Hello, Imo.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, thank you, Imo, for this wonderful insight. I will be expecting Emanuela Shama. She's engaged somewhere, but she will join in between the program. So I just want to draw your attention. Should I, in case she's shown, I will let you know. One of the speaker, Emanuela Shama. Thank you.
All right. Okay, thank you so much, admin. Once she joins the call, I will take her introduction so that it is not behind her. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Innocent, I don't know if you got my question, but I will repeat. I was asking if you could share some of the most common cybersecurity threats that organizations face currently today, either the ones you've worked with before or the ones that you know that most big organizations, big and small, face in the current technology ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you once again for having me, Imo. And yeah, I'll just dive right into it quickly so we start engaging some insightful conversations. So yeah, so organizations today, to be honest, face a variety of sophisticated threats, and this includes ransomware attacks, phishing campaigns, insider threats, and even vulnerabilities in third-party software. Increasing threat actors and leveraging AI to, sometimes even automate attacks and exploit misconfigurations in cloud environments as well. So if we look at ransomware attacks, for example, this involves obviously malicious software that encrypts, an organization's data and then demands payment for decryption key, sometimes even modern ransomware these days attacks are often consisting of double extortion tactics, where attackers also steal sensitive data and threaten to release, this data to the public or even sell them on the dark web, unless these ransoms are paid. And this is very critical to the growth of every business. And then again, we also look at some other, forms of attack like phishing campaigns as well. This social engineering attacks, attempt to deceive users into revealing sensitive information or maybe downloading malware, phishing emails, and this has become, very common within work environments these days because attackers are gradually and obviously rapidly evolving their tactics. So email phishing have become highly targeted, spear phishing, for example, and then convincing, often, impersonating trusted entities are also some of the things that they also do, using urgent language to provoke quick responses. This is very critical, to be honest, And then we also have insider threats, this can be either malicious or maybe, for example, could be from disgruntled employees, or even unintentional or approach could also lead to insider threats as well. So it's partially dangerous because insider threats often have legitimate access to critical systems of data and making detection and prevention even more challenging because you need to start running through a high level of scrutiny to look at where, end to end, where the problem is coming from, who has access to whatnot and all of those. That's where, privileged access management comes in, PAM solutions. So we also look at, vulnerabilities in third-party software. many organizations rely on third-party vendors and open source components to provide services to their end users, which can introduce vulnerability, into their systems, and also unpatched or misconfigured software can also be highly, critical vulnerability to many businesses, because unpatched or misconfigured software, can be exploited by attackers to gain, unauthorized access to escalate privileges, and this is very, very critical to the growth of every business. And then we're also looking at cloud misconfiguration, because as more businesses migrate to the cloud, or cloud infrastructure rather, misconfiguration or misconfigured storage buckets also pose high security risk. Security groups and identity permissions become attractive to targets and to target by attackers, and these can be the areas that are highly vulnerable for for businesses who most often at time run better part of their infrastructure on the cloud and online, because obviously today's world where technology is evolving, businesses are now trying to do things more sophisticatedly, the way things can drive efficiency without or basically reducing human error or very minimal human interaction, and making things even faster, obviously going with the growth of technology around the world. So that is also a very critical area that we can look at and see that it's something that could also very, very critical to the growth of businesses. And then we're also looking at AI powered attacks. This one is very, very critical because AI is supposed to help businesses scale, but cyber criminals are also increasingly using artificial intelligence to automate renaissance, and then obviously feed detection and tailor social engineering tactics. And for instance, generative AI that can create more convincing and phishing messages to deep fake, obviously create deep fake content that could manipulate or deceive users, because the way AI works, it's modeled off the human brain, so it will articulate the whole thing in a way where you can barely even tell that this is not real, and that's a very big challenge. So that's some of the points to consider in terms of the most common cybersecurity threats that organizations face today.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for that well-detailed explanation, Mr. Innocent. But I want to piggyback on that same question to you, Mr. Cletus, because of your experience with building security frameworks and systems for business protection on cloud infrastructure, and of course, that's also your expertise. Could you also share some of the most common cybersecurity threats that organizations you've worked with or that you know of have faced in today's business climate? And please, as you answer that, also let us know what are the essential steps that individuals and businesses can take to strengthen their cybersecurity defenses. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for this question. It's a very important question. So I've been privileged to work in an organization that was 2021. So I actually came into the organization because they actually had an attack. And when I came in, they were faced with a ransomware attack. So I was brought in to be able to analyze and try to recommend solutions in their system. So what happened was they actually had access through their system through a phishing attack. That's they actually did a phishing mail through one of their employee who was given admin privileges, and that's what I actually tell companies. You actually have to provision your admin privileges to who needs it, and not giving all privileges to any kind of person who might not have the necessary training to handle such attack and informations. So when I came in, I was able to actually they've already paid for the ransomware. So what happened? They locked up their data, and once you visit their website, they just displayed your developers a joke, and they actually displayed the Bitcoin wallet for them, so they could pay an amount. I think they actually billed them $6,000. And before I came in, they've actually made the payment, and guess what? Those people, they will not release your files. So I always say it's when you're actually faced with ransomware, most times, like 90% of the time, they won't release that file back to you. They will just try to make sure that you make payment. After you make payment, they will now make another demand again. They will now make another demand. So it's just like just dragging you to it, and sometimes they will not even release it back for you. So what I do is I try to recommend solutions to companies. First is for ransomware, I actually ask people, like, do you have sufficient data backups? So most companies, right, they actually just have what do we call it? They have their data centers. They are sitting on top, maybe AWS or Huawei, or whatever data center they're actually sitting on. So, and they don't really have efficient data backup system. So because when they have access to your database, first thing, to keep your system running, you have to have an efficient data backup. So what you do is you make sure that wherever your system is running, if it's AWS, if you are running on what do you call it, on Huawei, I think Huawei has a very large database. That's their data backup system, the OBS, which is quite free. You understand? I say it's free because I think it's just $2 per year or something. So it's better than other services, per se, if you ask me. So what you can do is you have sufficient data backups. So when you have such attack, you're not losing your data completely. So also, you actually keep your system updated. You have to ensure that the operating system and the software applications actually are updated regularly, and you release security patches. So most companies, what they do is they ignore the fact that you have to have a penetration tester, right, to keep on trying your system and trying to find the vulnerabilities in your system. So once you have someone who is dedicated to that particular attack, they can be able to find out or where attackers can come into your system. They can also be able to provide training, which is very important for your staff. So they don't have to fall victim, because most times um, heavy attacks actually comes from an insider threat. That's either an insider unknowingly or knowingly providing access to those attackers, and they'll be able to get serious informations and trying to jeopardize your system. Another thing I actually talk about is the endpoint detection and response. That's the EDR. So you have to deploy EDR solutions that can monitor and respond to suspicious activities on your endpoints, such as maybe unusual file changes, network traffic, or system behaviors indicative of ransomware. So before before a ransomware is actually deployed completely on your system behavior is going to change. So with EDR, that's the endpoint detection and response, you can be able to detect all those changes, and it can raise an alarm for you, and you can be able to implement solutions immediately. Then another thing is you can restrict the administrative privileges, limit the use of that's minimizing the damage. You can minimize the damage, the cost, and maybe basically from what access you've given to each employers or employee of the organization. So the account is not being compromised. So another basic threat is I think I spoke about is, no, I've not spoken about that. Let's say the supplier's chain attack. So now that actually comes from, I think my co-speaker actually spoke about that. That's the third party system. So most organizations, they actually incorporate a third party APIs to their system, either maybe managing their payments, maybe managing their logistic, also like different aspects. So what you do is you actually have to first the steps to prevent that, like you always evaluate the security posture of the third party vendors before actually even giving them access to your system. Some of us, we just go online and look for payment platforms that we don't even know. We've not even researched on them. Like we know the popular ones like the PayStack, the Flutterwave. For some of us, we've just come across new payment platform. We've not really researched about them. We don't know how safe their systems are. So we just integrate them into our platform, then end up exposing our platform to the vulnerability through the third-party system. So another thing you can do again, you can use strong access control. as you can implement strict access control for third-party vendors. That's ensuring that they have limited access to only the data and the systems they need. So now, basically, if you're using, I think there's a logistic company which has privileged to work with. So they work with other logistic partners too. So they implement different APIs on their system. So now you can be able to test them. Okay, good. You have APIs from GIG, you have APIs from FedEx and different logistic partners. So how efficient is that? How secured is that? So are you only giving them access to the data that they need to be able to initialize their endpoints, or you are giving them access to your whole complete system? Because when there is a data breach or when there is an attack, that's where you have to go about scanning your whole system again. And they're going to now detect that, okay, this is where your fault actually came in from. So I think another thing is you monitor the third-party access, which I actually talked about then. Supply chain encryption. That's encrypting the data in transit and actually in rest. So whatever data that is actually going out of your system and actually in your system, you have to encrypt them. So you don't share sensitive information with vendors to prevent interception or unauthorized access during data transfer. So the last I always talk about is you have to have an incident response plan, you understand, which is when you have to have prepared a specialized maybe incident response plan that includes procedures for dealing with supply chain breaches, and maybe you work with vendors to ensure coordinated responses. So currently we have Sure Banker system, a banking platform which is seated on VFD. So now the third party, what we do is we also conduct a VAPT um, that's a VAPT testing on top their platform to make sure that, okay, yes, you have your third party sitting on your application. Is it secured enough? Are you exposing sensitive data to them? And also, if there is an attack today, is it going to come from those third parties applications that are connected to you? I think basically these are most of the solutions you can actually implement on your system, and it's going to really help you secure your own side of it, because I think there are two parts. You secure your side, you can allow AI, you have AI responses, AI systems that actually check for threats and actually helps you prevent them. I think Huawei has a system that does that also. So they have a secured system. I think their WAF is very, very good. And also their HSS system is also very good in the security. So the Huawei security system is very, very strong, and it actually responds to new threats that actually come in, because there's going to be always new threats coming in that you might not really know of. So when you have an AI system that is actually listening to different threats and trying to recommend solutions and implementing solutions immediately as those threats are being detected worldwide, I think basically these are effective solutions we can use in our system. Thank you so much. I don't know. I can't hear you. Is it my own network?
I can hear him as well. I think it's from his side. So.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, so sorry about that. I was saying thank you for your great response to that. It did justice as to what I also expected you from your background. I really also appreciate the comment you give about using leveraging AI for listening to all of these precision attacks, because it's the same where banks are also using AI for fraud checks, and also leveraging it to listen to fraud and of course counter all of these external fraud measures or even internal fraud measures, because we know that, just like you mentioned, fraud or either cybersecurity attacks could be both external and internal. So I love the fact that your response was covered all of that area. But just to bring an attention to speakers, comments from our community members are requesting that speakers turn on their videos. They want to see you. Of course, if you're in an environment where you can put on your video, please, would really much appreciate that. Community members are requesting that speakers are turn on their videos during the speaking time, and of course for the call as well. Thank you so much, if you are able to do that. Mr. Faith, I want to come to you now. I love the angle that your profile sits, which is also the fact that you are an innovator that of course loves to build, but not just for enterprise use or for commercial success, but also for social impact. So this question is perfect for you, Mr. Faith. How can communities work together to improve overall cybersecurity awareness and resilience? How can communities work together to improve overall cybersecurity awareness and resilience for common good? Thank you.
Thank you very much. You've quite posed to the social part of making sure that communities work together, which I really like. I've always said something that right from inception and right from time, human beings are always the first line of defenses. I've always said that every time. We've seen it in Cold Wars, we've seen it in World War II, we've seen it in subsequent wars and subsequent things that has happened over the years in terms of very specific events. Human beings are the very first month of defenses. So I just wanted to say that no matter the technology that we think we have, no matter what you think we are putting in place to prevent cyber threats, people still have to be sensitized because they're always like the weakest link, so to say. So you were asking how communities can work together to improve cybersecurity awareness and resilience. One of the things that they should do normally is to be able to organize cyber awareness workshop. And I've seen a lot of that on Twitter because I'm very conversant on Twitter. Seen a lot of small groups coming together to sensitize people and make sure that they understand the reason why they need to take cybersecurity, very importantly. And in this world where everything is moving to the cloud, and with the introduction and the influx of AI agents and AI systems, people don't know what is about to hit them. And I mean, they don't know what's about to hit them because the wave of these things coming in is coming in with loads and loads of vulnerabilities. We have code snippets, we have behaviors, we have whatever it is that makes up all of these LLMs that these AIs are using. We don't know what the source is. We don't know what is being put in there. And when we put these things into our systems, we don't know the damage or we don't know the damage that these things can cause until we are actually hit by them. So one of those things is just like the other speakers have said, you have to be conversant with whatever you're introducing into your system. And how does that happen? Begin to organize cyber awareness workshops, local meetups in small groups, to tell them and explain to them what risk and the level of cost that it's going to cost you if you fall into a cyber, fall into the hands of a cyber threat and your system used to it. Another thing is, just like the first one, you have to just make sure that you encourage knowledge sharing. Just like the last speaker has said, he brought in the experience on how he was able to, help out to make sure that ransomware attacks in the company was working for was further mitigated in the future. So knowledge sharing from experiences so that people can just see from the angle of, oh, this thing has happened to this person before. Do I want to start incurring that cost? Do I think that my business is going to be able to stand if I incur, this kind of breaches? Because I'll tell you, if you don't want to pay 20,000 naira to secure your systems, if you experience a data breach, you will pay 100 million naira as long as you want your business to stand. So people will just be, oh, is this, why not just prevent it rather than curing it? Curing is more expensive than prevention. I'll tell you that for sure. Another thing is to launch public education campaign. This is going back to the grassroots, schools, libraries, social platforms, desensitizing people and sensitizing people on what they should do and what they should not do. And I'm not talking of big organizations. Trust me, I'm not talking of big technologies. I'm not talking of companies that span over 10,000 employees or they have like millions of dollars in gross net or whatever. I'm talking of the very tiny SMEs, the small and the medium scale ones that don't have the ability to be able to go for this expensive technology. These little things are ways that we can be able to improve awareness of the damage that cybersecurity can cause. Also, there's also things. I know there's an organization in the US called EU SWAT. Yeah, EU SWOT, yeah. So what they actually do is that they just, partner with small businesses and they help them offer free advice. So this is a sort of collaboration, really. The businesses coming together, and we need your help. We can't really afford expensive technology. So how do you help us? So they just reach a common ground and they say, oh, don't worry, we will sort it out for you. And any ways that they can do the small things, the small shifting of the legs, small shifting of the ass on the table, small moving of things here and there is definitely going to be able to improve the security posture of some of these companies. And I think with all of that, you will just keep hearing knowledge sharing, fostering collaboration. That is the only way that you are able to improve your security awareness. And like I said, I'm not talking of technology, but that grassroots sensitization is enough to be able to make sure that everybody is in good hands. And as they are migrating whatever they're doing to the cloud, they're introducing things from AI, they're trying to automate their processes. It just be at the back of their mind that security has to be the first thing and not an afterthought. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Faith. Thank you for that thoughtful response. The fact that you mentioned the fact that in other climes, big organizations are already operating with small organizations to help improve their security and, of course, their posture online is heartwarming to hear. And we would love to see that in our own clients. Of course, right now, what we do have is the fact that there's a lot of companies and a lot of individuals and even EOIs that are coming together to implement programs, to implement cybersecurity awareness programs, to implement cybersecurity training frameworks, both for business owners and even employees. So I would love people for joining us here to, of course, be more aware of that. We're hoping to get to a stage where we have big companies coming in to, of course, help you offset some of your cybersecurity expenses. But what we do have now is there's a proliferation of information online. Mr. Faith spoke about the fact that there's a lot of conversations on Twitter. I can attest to that. If you go on LinkedIn, there's a lot of conversations that are helping businesses. So, and one of such is this tech economy business series that we're having, because we understand the challenges that businesses face, and this organization exists to help offset some of those challenges. So you're in the right circle if you stay tuned to this webinar. Thank you so much, Mr. Faith. But your comments takes me right to my next question for Mr. Innocent. And please, just as a reminder, speakers, please, if you could kindly turn on your videos. Our community members are asking for that, and we want to give them the best experience and give you the best experience as well. Please kindly turn on your videos when you're speaking. If you're in an area that you're comfortable to do that, please. So, Mr. Innocent, I want to know, we've spoken a lot about, founders should do this, businesses should do this, business owners should do this. But what role does employee training play in cybersecurity so that even the employees themselves, down from the highest senior manager to the intern, they can have cybersecurity awareness? So what key topics should be covered in this cybersecurity awareness, and what role does employee training play in the overall cybersecurity of an organization and, of course, the ecosystem largely? Thank you.
Thanks very much once again. So employee training is highly pivotal, because human error, just like the last speaker spoke about, human error is one of the leading cause of breaches. So effective training should cover all sort of attacks, including phishing awareness, secure data handling, password hygiene, remote work security, and even incident reporting procedures. For regular simulation exercises help to reinforce learning. So employee training is pivotal in strengthening, an organization's cybersecurity posture, because as human error continues to be one of the leading cause of security breaches, even the most advanced technical defenses can be, undermined by a single uninformed click, or maybe a single neglect. So therefore, comprehensive training programs are essential, not only to raise awareness, but also to instill a culture of, security-minded behavior across all levels of the organization. So effective training should also obviously include, models of phishing awareness where employees learn, in real time, how to recognize and report suspicious email or, messages that could be potential threats to the organization. And then also, secure data handling practices must be thoroughly emphasized, because that's to ensure that sensitive information is accessed and stored, transmitted, or even in compliance with organizations' policies and even regulations requirements as well, depending on where the operations are from. So password hygiene is another critical component, educating employees on creating strong, unique passwords and using password managers where appropriate would also help in these, scenarios. So as remote work becomes even more prevalent these days, especially from COVID, where companies are shifting, to digital and remote work instead of like physical face-to-face and manual handling of materials for work environments. So training must also address the specific security risk associated with working outside of traditional office environments, because it could include securing home networks using VPNs or something like that, or maybe you just route your VPN to the company's, provider. And understanding the dangers of public Wi-Fi as well is also highly critical. Additionally, as well, I think employees should also be well versed in organizations' incidents reporting and procedures. Maybe should they know how to or when to report anomalies or suspected breaches would help to mitigate against threats that regard as well. So, we can reinforce these concepts, say regular simulation exercises as well also help, maybe such as phishing tests or mock incidents, responses, drills, and all of those. And there are some service providers that actually simulate games that could help organizations train their staff to understand different, techniques that these attackers use in infiltrating their systems. So that's also an approach that would help, So, like I said, mock incident response drills, and maybe even tabletop exercises are also very, very crucial and valuable. These are not only test, and this does not only test employees, but it also tests them for the readiness for in case something happens, but also obviously identifies areas where further training or clarification is needed. It might be thinking that all your employees are well versed in certain areas of security or cyber threats or the malicious techniques that attackers use, but it could just be that they just have surface level understanding. You don't know how deep their wealth of experience in that area until you go through all of these steps. So sometimes these steps even help organizations to understand the level of awareness that their employees even have in the first instance. So that would then give them an understanding on where to focus on or what to focus on in terms of furthering that training level and fostering continuous improvement in the organization's overall cybersecurity resilience. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that response. So really appreciate. And please, I just want to also state again that we are streaming to YouTube and Instagram. And currently, the comments that are coming in are not so friendly because videos are not being turned on, right? So imagine watching a webinar from YouTube, of course, without seeing the speakers, it's not giving the most immersive experience. So please, speakers, help us to also serve our audience the best way. Thank you so much, Mr. Innocent, for obliging. So I'll be coming to, okay, I've already called you Mr. Innocent. Mr. Cletus, I want to also ask, we have already spoken about the role that employee trainings should play in cybersecurity. And our last speaker mentioned the fact about incidents report planning and, of course, making sure that everyone is abreast with this incidents report and the details around it. So could you please help us discuss and state some of the importance of incident report plans and how organizations can develop them from A to Z, just from the very simple steps, nothing too technical, please. Thank you.
Okay, I think that's a very, very important question. So I always start with an example. There was a time I was in a company and there was an attack, and what the use of incident response plan actually helped us was we are so organized that everybody knew the role to play. We all know what to do. Who are you calling next? And we're able to repel that attack. It's one thing I always say is you can't be in a company and you can't have a software solution that you won't be prone to attack. There are bug bounters. There are people who actually sit on your system every day looking for vulnerabilities and looking for a way to extort you. So I believe incident report plan is actually very important in most companies. So I'll just explain what it is for people who don't really know what IRP means. So an incident report plan is a well-documented strategy that outlines the actions of an organization, what they will take in an event of a cybersecurity incident or a breach. So there are many reasons why you can have your IRP being developed. So it can actually help you minimize damages, which I actually spoke about the company. So what we're able to do, we're able to minimize damages because when you actually prepared and you have a plan actually stated out, everybody knows what next to do, what to do, and who you're calling on, and what role everybody is playing. So cybersecurity incidents, whether they are data breaches or ransomware attacks or DDoS, actually cause some significant damage to the organization's operations and reputation. So if you have a good IRP, it enables a swift and coordinated response, which contains the attack and actually reduce the extent of the damage. So it actually also reduces the importance. One of the importance is it reduces recovery time and cost. So the quicker an organization respond to a cyber threat, the faster it can resume back to its normal operation. So I spoke about one thing is most companies, they don't really know much about data backups and data recoveries. So when you are under an attack and you don't want your system to be down, maybe you have a system where you have several users and payments are always going on, and you have an attack. Instead of taking down your whole complete system, you can have a data backup. The data backup spin up immediately, and actually your customers might not even really know what's happening to you. You get, they might not even, they won't even know that there is a downtime. It helps minimize the downtime, prevent extended service outage, and also loss of revenues and customer dissatisfaction. So actually that actually helps out. So also it helps you prevent and protect your sensitive data. I think that's very explanatory. So regulative compliance, and also so I'll just move straight to steps which you can use to develop a robust incident plan. So developing an effective IRP involves careful planning and implementation, and it's not just a one-time process. So it actually has more to do with a continuous improvement. So here are like some key steps organization can follow. First, I always say it, you have to be prepared. Preparation is the first and the most critical step in building a very strong IRP. So a well-prepared team can handle incidents effectively. So you have to first define roles and responsibilities, establish a very clear and cross-functional team. That's including incident responders, who are the IT staff, the legal representative, communication personnel, and the management. And you assign specific roles for handling each stages of the incident. Sorry about that. Okay, man. So also you have to establish a communication channel. Determine how the team will communicate during this particular incident. So you don't have to like start finding a way to communicate to so and so who is supposed to handle this. So you have to have your effective communication channels. Most people, most companies, what they do is they have a Slack channel specific for IRP. So when there's an issue, when there's an attack, so what they just do is everybody come online on the Slack channel. Okay, Mr. Deji, this is what you're supposed to do. Mr. Gabriel, this is what you're supposed to do. This is where you're supposed to block. Take out this down. Take this down. You get. So it's just like establishing a good communication channel. So you create a good documentation, then also training and awareness of your incident response team. So they have to know what exactly they are doing, and each team member, what role are they playing. You have to like actually give them the awareness. Then also after your preparation, you go to your detection and analysis, which is detecting and analyzing cybersecurity threats. So this phase actually focuses on identifying potential security incidents before they escalate. So you can be able to implement monitoring tools. So I spoke about some monitoring tools the last time I spoke about as you can have your deployment intrusion detection system, that's the IDS. You have your firewalls, your continuous network monitoring tools that can quickly identify abnormalities and suspicious behaviors on your system. So I actually spoke of that in the last question I actually provided an answer to. So you can also develop threat detection protocols. Like you can have a defined protocol for responding to various types of incidents. So now these protocols can include rules for reporting suspicious activities and steps to clarify and prioritize threats based on how severe those threats are. So also you can actually have your incident classification. That's once a potential incident is being detected, you can analyze it to confirm whether it is true. What security breach is it going to? Are there alert systems that you have actually in your IRP that actually is going to help you detect fast and actually alert those your team members, the IRP team members. So for phishing and maybe ransomware or an insider threat. Another part of it is the containment and the eradication. So once an incident is confirmed, it is crucial to contain the threat for prevent further damages. So I talked about a company which I came in after a damage had been done. So what we're able to do is we can identify that's the containment, which is identify and isolate the affected system to prevent the threat from spreading. You understand? For example, you can disconnect maybe compromised systems, you understand, from the network and shut down services. Like take for instance, maybe you have a ransomware attack and maybe they only have access to maybe a particular database. So what you can do is, you have some sensitive database, you can take them down from your cloud services, you understand, for the meantime to avoid the threat spreading to other databases. So, and we have the eradication, which is what after containing the threat, so work on removing it from all the affected system. So now you can isolate after isolating that system. These are the affected parts. Okay, now how can we remove these threats from this particular system? You understand? That's it. After then, which includes maybe eliminating the malware, the vulnerabilities, and restoring the system from clean backups. So another part which I actually spoke of before is the recovery. So now the recovery phase is restoring systems and services back to normal operation. So after isolating the system, actually removing the threat actor or the malwares from the system, so you have to go back to the recovery phase, which is you can restore your data systems back by the data, and that's after recovery. Closely monitor system for signs of reinfection and reoccurring issues. You don't just go back to normal without having a monitoring what have happened and maybe sometimes detect some attacks, right? They just after you've detected and you've actually prevented. So what they just do is they wait for you again to lag and they'll still strike again. So what you do is you have your monitor after like recovery, you have to closely monitor the system for any signs of reinfection. So you communicate also with your stakeholders. That you tell them, okay, these are the affected parties of this incident. This is where this incident affected. What steps are taken to resolve it? What steps did you take to resolve it? And what actions are implemented? So this is what we call the last part of it is the post-incident review. Like so, we first start with the IRP team. Okay, once this incident is resolved, we conduct a thorough review to understand what actually went wrong, what worked, and how the organization can improve its response to future incidents. You don't just sit down after an attack and fold your hands closed because you don't know what's going to happen next. Maybe you were able to you're successful. They were not able to enter your system, and you were happy that yes, they were able to gain access. But after that, you have to like have a post-incident review. What went wrong? You understand? How can this not happen again? So first, you analyze the incidents. You gather your incident response team together. You understand, and other stakeholders to analyze the response and pinpoint areas for improvement. Were they able to gain access through your endpoints? Was it through an administrative privileges from the negligence of a staff? You understand? So all these are very, very important. Then also you have to document your lessons learned. You get which is still going to be inside your IRP. You understand? After you've analyze what actually happened. So what have been learned to create a detailed post-incident report. You understand, that includes the timeline of the event. What time did this happen? Because sometimes they look at maybe when the IRP team is down, maybe they are sleeping at night. You understand, when they can be able to strike. What time did it happen? You understand, what actions were taken? What were the outcomes? So if there are any gaps identified during this whole response, you can share a report with the leadership teams and other relevant teams. You understand? Okay, so this is how this happened. This is what we learned, and this is the these are the solutions you can actually do on your own side to prevent this from actually occurring again. So you update your plan on regular basis, and very, very efficiently is you have to train the employees. As you have to organize maybe a follow-up training for employees based on the lessons you've learned from that particular incident, ensuring that all teams understand the changes to procedures, you understand, and how to handle similar threats in the future. So I think with these basic outlines, you can be able to create a detailed IRP. And I believe everyone listening on our YouTube channels and streaming, you really know what an IRP is and how to create a detailed IRP for the organization. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cletus. You just gave us a masterclass in the form of a response. I've seen some comments from our audience members, and that was quite detailed, and I also learned a lot. And so I think for me, the anchor point, which I really love that you touched on, is communication, right? And the importance of communication cannot be overemphasized, because if you have an incident report team and they are running all over the place without communication, they're just moving, it's just movements, and they're not going anywhere fast. So communication is really key. It's almost like an army going into battle. If you're not communicating with each other, then you can't really strike out the report. It might just be individuals claiming the honors themselves and just trying to root out things individually, right? Communication is really key, and I love that your comments touched on that effectively. Thank you so much. Mr. Faith, I'm coming to you now. What emerging technologies do you see as pivotal in advancing cybersecurity efforts, either for communities or for organizations? What emerging technologies do you see as important, as pivotal in advancing cybersecurity efforts, please? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. There's a very funny saying, very popular, that says that if you're going to catch a monkey, you have to act like a monkey. So because if you look at the strengths of cybersecurity and the way it's evolving, really, you realize that they are being hacked really based on the way technology is evolving as well. And this is what I mean. Before, we used to worry about things like phishing emails. We used to worry about things like spear phishing, worry about things like malware. But now, since the introduction of more advanced technologies coming, we start to worry about things like deepfake, AI-powered intrusion and cybersecurity attacks. And I'm just going to pull up something here. This was a report that was done by Verizon, yeah, and this was 2025. I'm just going to put that up. So based on most of the responses that has been given by the speakers, I'm just going to read this out. So this was a report that was conducted by Verizon in 2025. That's the first quarter, their report. It says that 30% of breaches that they were able to detect were related to third-party involvement. And this third-party involvement had loads of vulnerabilities inside of their system. Now, if you trace that back, you would begin to ask yourself, where are these vulnerabilities coming from? You realize that most of the time, because these people use automation tools and they use AIs to be able to automate their processes, some of these things just begin to creep in, and they're not even aware. Now, another one says that 34%, there was 34% increase in attackers exploiting vulnerability on these same third parties. So compared to the last year, it increased by, I think, about 17% according to this report when you compare it to the last year. So the point is, as this technology are evolving, really, you begin to see new strains. Everybody remembered when we had COVID, it was COVID-19, and then everything died down, and then everything evolved again. We started seeing things of strain 2, COVID. They didn't want to call it COVID-20, I understand that, but it was like a new strain of that thing, and it just keeps going up like that. So I'm just going to go back, and now, because again, it is evolving. You have to act like a monkey. One of those things that you need to do is to be able to factor in AI and machine learning algorithms. This is what I mean. There are now very comprehensive systems now that is able to measure behaviors, patterns. I remember one project I was working on with a very big fintech company in Nigeria. We were facilitating payments from Nigeria to, we started out in India, and then we expanded into China. Now, one of those things that we noticed, when we went live, it was mobile app. When we went live, everything was okay for the first 2 days. And then the custodian of the project just called me and said, there's something's going on. I'm like, what is going on? We looked at the log. I'm not bashing anybody. I'm not really pointing fingers at anybody. I'm just saying from my experience. We've had in the last 24 hours, we had 132 signups from a certain part of the world. Now, these guys are not here to use the solution. They're not here to try what you're doing. We saw that most of these things were like they were trying to eat the system. We had signups from countries that should not even be using the system at all. But because we put in behavioral patterns, why is there like an influx of signups from this particular region? It's not supposed to be happening. We were able to just, break off those things and just block those things. So there's really something that we used. I mean, it's a bit technical, but it's called network segmentation. It's one of those tools where you're able to restrict traffic from a particular region. So one of those things that we did was just restrict it totally from there. So except you're now using things like VPNs, and which I think that network segmentation has the ability to be able to detect fake IPs as well. When your IP is reversed, or you're using it like a reverse or a forward proxy or whatever it is, these tools have the ability to be able to detect your original IP address. So network segmentation is that robust. So by using AI and machine learning, you're able to just study the patterns of things that is going on in the system, and you just go and sleep. And then also we have things like continuous monitoring, which allows you to be able to get things like alerts when anything is happening. You just set your rules and say, when you notice this, and it is more than this range, please just let me know. And then it sends an email, and then you jump straight into action. Another thing is, and this one, I really love this one, is it's called Zero Trust Frameworks. I really love this one because I've just finished, I just rounded up my master's, and the solution that I proposed was actually on this. And the concept of zero trust is do not trust anybody. And by anybody, it means do not trust any entity. So if you're looking at emerging technologies that is able to, be able to advance your security effort, one of those things is to implement zero trust frameworks. And zero trust frameworks is a little bit complex. But when you look at the nitty-gritty of it, the core principle is never trust, always verify. Before, we have concept of passwords. When you just come in, just apply your password to me. As long as you get the password, I'll let you in. But now, they're now saying you may have the password, to be fair, and it might not be you. So people have come up with things like, oh, when you put in your password, or don't even put in your password, just give me your biometrics. And one thing about biometrics is, at least up to now, it's still unique. Until people start really digging into these things, it's still unique. And zero trust is don't trust anybody. Anytime they're coming, I don't care if I've seen you before, present your ID again. So that allows you to be able to do continuous verification on and on again. I don't care if I've seen you 20 times today. Whenever you come, make sure that you present me something that I need to see. So that allows you to be able to say, we are filtering out people that we know that are bad actors. And most of these models I'll be touching on are quite technical because, of course, there are tools and technologies. But when you move to cybersecurity, people that can help you out, most of these consultants, they're able to break it down and give you, oh, this is what is going to fit into your budget. But zero trust, do not trust any entity. Make sure that you always verify them. It's one of the very, very emerging tools that's coming on now. Another thing is secure access service edge. Now, we have companies that do remote work. And these guys, because you're not on the company network, you can't be coming to the office, but you still have to access the company resources. So most of these things are done at the security level, at least for the company I work in. You can access these resources, but there are certain things that your phone or your device has to be able to satisfy. So, for example, I know that when I changed my phone, I was trying to access the company resources again, and I'm like, to be fair, I'm the only person using this phone. I really don't have people around me using the phone, and I decided not to put the password on the phone. Now, what's happened is this: because they set up all these remote access rules, I was not able to access it anymore, and I got the message like, "Yo, bro, you need to password your phone." And you're not just passwording your phone, your password has to match with this certain requirement, six figures long or whatever it is. So these are some of the things that you use to just protect your systems, and they are emerging because people are beginning to do the fake. People can just, I can be talking to you and it's not me. You've seen voices of people being cloned. Just so most of this technology, because they are emerging, you also have to be able to combat them with emerging technologies. So just like Jensen would say, it's band for band. So you just just do it like that. So again, another thing is blockchain. Everybody's talking about blockchain. How blockchain is so decentralized, and I'm not talking of crypto now because when I talk about blockchain, people think it's crypto. Blockchain is a technology that allows you to decentralize things, transparency in transaction, and because of the security that this technology brings in, right, it also allows us to strengthen our security posture. So if you're building solutions now, people that are you're doing trades, or you're trying to facilitate payment from one place to another, and you're scared of cybersecurity attacks. Some of the things, apart from the basic things you're going to put together to make sure that all of these transactions are encrypted, they are protected, you're making sure that you're running all of your requests over HTTPS or secure whatever. Blockchain is another good way to go. Blockchain is not an emerging technology. I must say that it's been around for a while. A lot of people don't know, but because the inception of crypto, everybody started hearing blockchain. But blockchain has been around for decades, if not decades. It's been around there, but it's just the infusion of, oh, we need to just make sure that we decentralize these things and make sure that everybody has autonomy. So that way you're able to protect and make sure that your own system, your tiny system, has its own mind of its own and is able to protect itself. So another thing is to be able to go to third parties. Yeah, a lot of cloud native solutions that you can use. If you can't go through all of these things and you feel like it's too expensive, definitely there are companies, systems that has been built, right? That is multi-tenant, multi-vendor, that can allow you to be able to protect your system. Of course, you're going to pay, but of course, it has payment plans and all of that. And that's one of the very ones that I know that's very popular. I just wrote that down here, is Pato Auto Network. I've seen Pato Auto Network every now and then, but when I was running my project, I had an opportunity to be able to work with their system. And you need to see the robustness that they have when securing systems. So just to unpack and just to summarize it, because most of these threats are emerging, you have to use emerging technology to combat them. You can't bring a 45-year-old to come and play against a 20-year-old on the pitch, no matter how experienced you are. And I know what I'm saying. Legacy systems cannot stand the test of these new technologies and new evolving cyber threats that is coming in now. They are going to crumble under pressure. So I hope I'm able to answer that. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Faith. I think you spoke as a lecturer more than you thought you spoke as just an ordinary speaker here. So thank you so much for that. I would like to borrow your word, robust response, being able to dive onto all the intersects. And honestly, it's quite valuable, and it's something that I believe our audience members would have to listen and listen again, because I didn't expect you to tell me that legacy systems would not be able to address emerging threats. So just like you said, you have to, same way they are going, you have to build technologies that follow that. And you have to, if you cannot build, leverage technology that follows that trend, because it is very unique, and you have to use unique systems to address them. So thank you so much for bringing clarity and depth to that question. So we're slowly winding down to the end of the webinar. So our speakers will be taking their last questions. So I'm saying this so that if you have any questions, as audience members, we're already taking questions from our communities, but or if you're on the call and you have a question, please just note it down, and then once our speakers are done, you can of course raise your hand and I'll bring you up on stage to ask your question. Or if you don't want to ask, through the mic, you can drop your question in the chat box and I'll read it so that speakers can do justice to it. All right, so I'll go back to Mr. Innocent. Thank you so much for your patience on the call. I really do appreciate your time. Mr. Innocent, I want to know, Mr. Faith has spoken a lot about how organizations, about how individuals can leverage AI systems to address AI threats. And we know the fact that AI is a game changer, especially for small organizations, because it helps them to, of course, leverage lean resources to do bigger things like big organizations. But that sacrifice of using AI also comes with other advanced threats. So how can small organizations or community groups implement cybersecurity measures with limited resources? How can smaller organizations and community groups implement effective cybersecurity measures with limited resources? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Imo. So, well, we're going to look at this in different angles. So, first of all, we can say they can adopt, effective strategies like maybe leveraging, open source tools. There are loads of open source tools out there, partnering with maybe local cybersecurity professionals, and maybe utilizing government or non-profit-led cybersecurity resources to prioritize, basic cyber hygiene, and then focusing on awareness training, like I did mention earlier during my speaking, and then obviously high returns on minimal investment as well. So those are some strategies that could effectively, combat, or obviously measure, all of those, effective cybersecurity, frameworks with limited resources. And then smaller organizations as well, or maybe, using smaller communities or groups of people who are inclined in this area, they could also obviously still, come off as though they face, significant challenges in securing their own digital, assets and infrastructures. Like me and you, our phones, our devices, our laptops, the networks that we're, obviously connected to, all digital frameworks due to be limited, to limited budgets. And these are also some critical issues, so passing out technical expertise is obviously something that we need to look into. However, effective cybersecurity doesn't, always require maybe, large financial investment or all stuff like that. But on a large scale, we can, on our own, educate ourselves and understand how these things work, what manner of approach that we need to, obviously embed in this to make it, a bit more secured and robust for our own, defense mechanisms. So maybe by adopting maybe obviously strategic and proactive approach, these groups can obviously significantly enhance their own security posture. So one of the most impactful steps is maybe to leverage, say, open source security tools, like I mentioned earlier. For example, you can use that to effect robust capabilities at no cost at all. So we're not looking at you installing some, antivirus, or obviously if it's not on a large scale, we're not looking at you, involving some antivirus or some high security frameworks to your approach. So those are also some steps. For example, say like solutions like SNOTs in intrusion detection, or Suricata in network monitoring, and OpenVAS as well, vulnerability scanning, providing enterprise grade security without, any associated price tags. That would also, play critical roles in, making sure that, you're well secured and at no cost at all, and even maybe minimal cost. It doesn't really matter whichever approach you're putting in. And then additionally, partnering with local cybersecurity professionals, academic institutions, can offer access to expertise and, services to reduce cost, or maybe even, pro bono. Those would also play a critical, role in making sure these things work. So many cybersecurity practitioners, to be honest, and even students, in some cases, are willing to contribute, say volunteering and all of those kind of, scenarios, to help communities understand how these things, are being done, or what needs to happen, or what approach they actually need to give into some of these initiatives. They could use, like, say, real world cases for academic or practical experiences, or maybe like, organizations should also maybe obviously, take advantage of, free resources offered by governments and then agencies and non-profit organizations as well. There are non-profit organizations out there who are willing to, expatiate on stuff like this and make the community aware of the threats that are, emerging these days and help them to mitigate against stuff like that. And then, for example, like in America, there's CISA. So Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, they provide, toolkits, they provide trainings, they provide like, information, gathering and then expose it to their end users or even the community for them to be aware of, best practices tailored to small, medium-sized businesses, even for individuals themselves, and then for even large community organizations. So those are some of the things that, would obviously still help. And then furthermore, focusing on basic cyber hygiene, like the last speaker talked about, such as maybe enforcing strong password policies, alphanumeric. You don't just put your password to say, oh, password, or my name, 1234. It has to be alphanumeric. You use, different figures, different, symbols and all of those. It makes it very strong so that it doesn't get compromised easily. Keeping your software up to date is also one that would work. It's very, very critical that you keep your software up to date, because as the attacks are emerging and they're as sophisticated as they become by the day, new software updates are meant to critically treat those area of vulnerabilities in these systems and then make them even more secure. So if you don't update your software, it might be running behind on security that might even put you at risk as well, or being attacked and hacked as well. So, enforcing strong password policies and keeping software up to date and even enabling like, two-factor authentication, these can help to, significantly, mitigate against common cyber threats. So finally, maybe, investing in regular cybersecurity awareness training, like I did mention earlier, for staff and volunteers and all of those, so those in its range would help to, educate and mitigate against all of these, cyber threats that's going on around the world today. And then these are some of the key, areas that I think really needs to, we thoughtfully would be, if combine all of these approaches, for smaller organizations, then we can obviously create like a meaningful and resilient cybersecurity, foundation and with limited resources.
So much, Mr. Paul. I just want to stay with you for a brief moment. One of our community members is asking, because you did touch on a lot of frameworks and systems that are available, but your response was not localized, right? Because you mentioned frameworks like CISA in the US. What frameworks do you see that are available that I can leave this for right now? Could you provide examples of initiatives that have helped improve local cybersecurity, or those frameworks that exist that I can leverage leaving this call?
Well, yeah, but I've not quite done my research, which of those could be available for Nigeria, but I think there are a few. Even just doing your basic research could still give you exposure. It's readily available frame that you can take advantage of. Some of them have limitations. Some of them are just excluded in some areas of, in terms of how you can use them or where you can use them from, obviously for security reasons as well, even though it is there for you to be able to, make use of, to help you get cyber credentials and threats in space. In Nigeria, I'm quite sure with them could be readily available for you to use in Nigeria. But I mean, you can actually do some research on that, and you can find some could be readily available for you to use in Nigeria. But I mean, to add to that as well, there are some organizations that some information on these will still help, security firms that are, invoke and the approach different security, breaches and threats that could be harmful to individuals and how you operate, obviously as an individual, and then that extends to your organizations as well. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for doing justice to that response, Mr. Paul. Thank you so much. Mr. Cletus, I want to come to you with this final question from one of our members. So it says, of course, with your expertise in machine learning frameworks and AI systems, how do you see the future of cybersecurity evolving, particularly with the rise of remote work and digital transformation. How do you see the future of cybersecurity evolving with respect to the rise of remote work and digital transformation? Mr. Kletus, please, are you there? Sorry, if you're speaking, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, I was muted. Okay, sorry. You said how do you see the future of cybersecurity evolving, right?
Yeah, evolving,
So,
particularly
okay.
with the rise of remote work and of course this huge trend of everyone jumping on digital transformation.
Okay. So basically I always talk about the cloud security, right? Which is very, very important. So I will just speak about the actual rise of the endpoint security. So as remote work grows, right, securing your endpoints such as your laptops, your mobile device, and your IoT devices will actually be a top priority for you. So how do you go about that? So as technology evolves, so you have to have your unified endpoint management system. So you can be able to manage the growing number of remote endpoints. So companies increase and they rely on the UAM systems, which enables business to manage all type of endpoints, whether it's the laptops, mobile phones, or IoT devices from a single platform. So a unified endpoint management system can actually help you on that. So actually, it's what we call the zero trust security. So the concept of zero trust will actually become the standard approach for securing your standard endpoints in remote work environment. So zero trust actually means that no device or users is automatically trusted. So even if they are within maybe a network perimeter, instead of every device and users, they actually have to be what continuously verified, authenticated, and monitored for unusual behaviors. So actually, I love to give real life examples. So we have some there was a company which I was privileged to work with actually in the United States of America. So, and one of our staff actually was he was pretending to be a be in the United States, and all through the while he had been using VPN, you understand, to log into the remote environment and actually work from there. So with time, they were able to have a UAM system being set up for the remote workers, and it was exposed. So and also I also give example to there was actually a particular staff also that what he does is he gets the work and he outsources it to Indians. So Indians now will be the one now to be handling his tax, and he just pay them from his salary. So I think with the UAM system, it was able to expose such trends and such activities that people actually do. So that's what we call like the zero trust security. We don't trust anybody, so you keep on verifying as the system actually goes further. So another thing I also want to talk about is the increased focus on the cloud security. So how it will evolve, we have the advanced encryptions. So cloud security will continue to focus on encryption. That's both data at rest, which is data which are stored, and also data which are in transit. That's data moving from a particular system to another. So an encryption actually ensures sensitive data actually remain protected, even if attackers want to intercept that particular data. So they will discover that those data have been encrypted, and before you be able to have the decryption algorithm, is going to take the grace of God. Because if you use a very encryption algorithm, I don't think your data is going to be able to decrypt. So with the increasing volume of data being moved to the cloud, that encryption technology is going to advance to provide stronger and more efficient protection against data breaches. So another part in the cloud security is the secure access control. So access management will become more granular and dynamic. So organization will move towards stronger identity and access management system. That's the IAM. If you're very, very used to maybe the AWS system or the IAM there, so which include the multi-factor authenticator and also least privilege access principle. So maybe on the AWS now, you can see that you can have a very broad, you have a large company and you have different cloud professionals on your system. You can say, okay, this person is actually in charge of the ACS. This one is in charge of this. And also in your company, you can also have people who are in charge of maybe making bill payments. You understand? You don't just give them access to everything in the AWS. You say, okay, I'm going to give you a specific role, which is when you log into this user details. What you can only do is you can be able to just pay your bills, pay the bills of maybe the AWS bills and whatever roles you're actually assigning to them. So that will also help. So we have what we call the continuous monitoring and threat intelligence. So as cyber threats actually involve, because they become more advanced, organization will have to adopt that continuous security monitoring tools that can leverage on artificial intelligence and also machine learning to be able to detect and respond to threats in real life. So cloud providers actually integrate advanced technology incidents. I always speak about Huawei because I'm quite familiar with their system. So they actually have an AI actually that responds to incidents and new threats. So even future threats are actually being checked for. Immediately a threat actually emerge, they actually update their system with the artificial intelligence and the machine learning. So it's able to learn from new threats and also recommend solutions. So you don't have to worry about most times your own security yourself. So most cloud services actually take the cloud providers, they actually will integrate some advanced threat intelligence feed to provide customers with updated data and actually emerging threats, helping business to what anticipate and protect against what attackers before they even occur. So I'll actually talk about automation in threats. Sorry, someone speaking?
Oh, please, you can go on.
Okay. So automation in threat detection and response. So why is this very important? So cyber threats are becoming more sophisticated and frequent, overwhelming traditional methods of security. So security teams right now are currently struggling to keep up with the sheer volume of alerts and the complexity of attack. So now the speed at which they need to respond to it is very, very important. So how will this evolve? So I also speak about AI and the machine learning for threat detection. So AI, artificial intelligence, and the ML, which is the machine learning, will continue to play a very increasing critical role in detecting and responding to cyber threats. I talked about the Huawei system. So once the threat is being detected, they actually respond to it. So the AI algorithm can what process vast amount of data, you understand, and identify patterns. That which is very, very specific, the patterns that indicate those security threats. So now this AI system will actually help detect new and emerging threats, such as the zero-day exploits. Huawei system actually have that and by recognizing subtle deviations from the normal behaviors that the activities of the system. So over time, this AI system will actually play a large role in handling that. So also we have the automated incident response, which is like as part of the security orchestration, automation and responding thing. So automations will streamline the response to these security incidents. For example, maybe when an attack is detected, the system can automatically quarantine those affected systems. Okay, now before maybe the response team, maybe they might be at sleep. So maybe you have an automated incident response system, so it can be able to quarantine it, test, and block malicious IP address, and even maybe it can disable compromised accounts for you, even without you coming up online yourself, maybe without the response team being online. So those automated incident response system can be able to isolate, quarantine, and block malicious IP address. You get this reduces the human intervention and enables quicker and more efficient response to the system. So another part of it is the threat hunting and automated investigation. So threat hunters increasingly rely on automated tools to assist them with finding hidden threats within the organization. So automation will actually secure things. Will help teams to proactively scan for vulnerabilities, suspicious behaviors, and indicators of compromise, that's the IOCs, with greater precision. So with those threat hunting tools and automated investigation, you can be able to discover vulnerabilities on time. So another part I would always like to talk about is the patching and update, automated patching and update. So as cyber threat actually evolves, right? So the known vulnerability, right? Once a vulnerability is being known, so an automated patch management system will ensure that that software and system are regularly updated with the latest security patches. You understand? This automation will reduce the window of opportunity for attackers to actually exploit your system. So I think in conclusion, right, the future of cybersecurity is becoming more agile and intelligent. That's in how they face those threats. So as remote work actually continues to rise and digital transformation accelerates, organizations will increasingly rely on cloud security, which I spoke of. Those are the take home, the cloud security, the endpoint protection, which are protecting the laptops, whatever those remote workers are using, and the automations, which I spoke of, you understand, to secure their operations. So AI-driven security tools, automations in response, and threat detections and a more robust cloud strategies will allow businesses to remain agile while effectively defending against those modern cyber threats. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I think you touched a familiar point there. First policy, different, which is about trend and threat hunting. But in software development, it has a similar term, which is bug hunting, just that as compared to
Yes.
that, you're searching for bugs to try to eliminate them, being proactive for the course with cybersecurity, you are being proactive to find these threats before they even have a chance to attack your system, because like you always say, it's better to prevent than to try to respond or even kill. Thank you so much. So I will be coming to you, Mr. Faith. A last question from a community member says that when you mentioned the fact about leveraging blockchain to actually fight cybersecurity measures as a cybersecurity measure, rather to also fight cybersecurity threats, that could you also help provide some examples of some communities that have that are advancing this so that either they could join or at least try to follow the social media activities? So could you help provide some examples of some communities of social media or organizations that are helping to improve local cybersecurity, either through traditional measures, legacy measures, or through blockchain initiatives, please, Mr. Faye?
Thank you very much for that. To be fair, there's just a lot of them, right? And I'm suggesting, or I'm thinking that what they want to know is something that is localized to the country. Definitely, there's a lot of them. I mean, to be fair, I could have just mentioned a random name, but the best thing to do usually is, if you're a fan of Twitter, there's somebody that you should follow. I think there's a particular podcast that I used to listen to. It's not like a podcast, it's like a video when the girl actually brings on a cybersecurity expert and just discuss about it. I think it's called API Kitchen or something like that. Her name is Confidence something, right? And I've seen her multiple times. She's bringing the awareness to make sure that people are aware that cybersecurity is a thing. So honestly, I don't have like a list of, because of course people are just creating these things in small groups, trying to create peer-to-peer workshops and all of that. But I do have a list. People want to check it out. One of these things that you can also do is to engage in local hackathons. You don't really need to engage to to fight for a prize. What it gives you is this ability for you to be able to see how people actually coming together, collaborating, and solving cybersecurity problems. So, listening in, just like the webinar we've had now, you can imagine, you might just be scrolling on Twitter, and then the next thing is, oh, there's a webinar, they're talking about cybersecurity. I think that if you are anyone that is very particular about making sure that they want to join groups and communities, to be fair, social media is there. You can just go on Google, and you'll be surprised that you might have like a small group at the back of your house that you're not even aware of. It's just a lot. So I really don't have like a list of. So if you go on Twitter, just type in cybersecurity. If you're a fan of LinkedIn, cybersecurity groups and pair and workshops are scattered everywhere. Based on what you're looking for, the size. I know some people don't like large size communities, because of course it somehow minimizes impact. It does not touch you. So some people look for small groups. Something to you now, and you have like 1,000 members, and you're not able to. You don't experience maximum impact. So if you're on LinkedIn again, just search for cybersecurity. You will see loads of them. Even people in Nigeria, people in Lagos, people in Abuja, you will find loads of these things scattered around. So Thank you very much. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you so much. And of course, our speakers would get their social media handles. And of course, speakers, you could also drop your social media handles in the chat so that anyone who wasn't able to ask a question could also, of course, reach out to you to get any of these queries. And we'll do our best to provide some of these things to our audience members and of course on our socials for the ones that were not provided on the call. So I will be taking uh, um, last responses and so for the in the call, you can actually raise up your hand and we'll take it so that you can ask the speakers and they can take your question while also giving their closing remark as well while ending down. So please, any questions in the audience here? We've taken a lot of questions from our community members, but please, if you're on the call and you have a question, you can raise up your hand or just straight up unmute and speak. Okay, so there seems to be no question from the chats. Please, Mr. Faith, I'll start with you. Please, just your closing remark in 60 seconds, and then we'll move to Mr. Cletus, and then Mr. Paul. The speakers, your closing remarks in 60 seconds. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So my 60 seconds starts now, right? Okay. I'm just directing this to individuals because, of course, we've been talking about expanding businesses and making sure that businesses are protected. But one thing that we also have to know that people make up businesses. So entities of forming of people make up businesses. If you as an individual is able to protect and guard yourself, you won't have problem guarding a house, a problem, guarding guarding your business and making sure that you're security conscious. So one of the things I just want to share is this. If you are one of those people that use the same password for 226 accounts, your risk is 101%. Just put that at the back of your hand. Number two, there's a major misconception about public Wi-Fi's. People are like, oh, if you jump public Wi-Fi, you're going to steal your data. I just want to clear that misconception. What is happening on public Wi-Fi's is called network sniffing. You don't connect to public Wi-Fi and they start stealing your data. It doesn't work like that, right? What happens is the moment you start doing sensitive things over that network, things like you open your bank app, you're trying to transfer money, you're putting in your PIN, that is where the problem comes from. So, my dear, you can join public Wi-Fi and browse TikTok all you want, as long as you're not providing sensitive information over that network. Another thing is this. In the era of social media, I think people need to be very conversant about their digital footprint. Some people they have the whole of, I'm not against social media, I'm just saying because of course we're talking about cybersecurity. Some people have the whole of their family ancestral tree. You can trace it from all of their accounts and begin to link people together. So in situations like that, you are being put at a proper risk. And I hate to break to you, if you already have that information online already, the internet does not forget. And those traces and those artifacts cannot be erased. What you can do, you forget about the past and be very conversant in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Cletus, please.
Hey, so I think my closing remarks will actually just be so very, very simple and straightforward. So I just want you to remember that cybersecurity is a continuous journey. So I want you to know that threats will always evolve, but so must our strategies. We must also evolve our strategies. So together we have to work as a community. We have to continue sharing knowledge. We have to remain proactive so we can build a safer and more resilient digital future for everyone. So also, I would just want to talk about a little about the password, which my fellow speaker just spoke about. So I think is mostly even common with the female gender. Like they maintain one particular password for all their whole accounts. I actually got a complaint from a colleague that her phone was stolen and just maybe a password from a particular account, we were able to gain access to all her bank accounts and transfer money from them. Even her PIN, everything is just constant. You can also use your password managers to save your password. You can use password managers to keep passwords safe, and it's going to really help you do not use one particular password for all your accounts if you can't remember. You can have your specific patterns to creating password. I always say 6 digits password is not safe. So I feel maybe you can go from above 6. It's very, very hard for them to predict above 6 digits. You understand, for your password. I think that will be your take home. If you know you're among the people who are using one particular password for your account, I think this is a call to action. Go back and change your password. Regular change of password actually helps. Every 3 months, you can change your passwords to all your accounts. It's going to really help you. So and you forget just so you don't forget your password. If you forget, you have your forget password, which is there for you on most applications. So it's not a crime to forget your password, but it's going to be a crime when your password is being predicted by attackers. Thank you so much.
I'll give to anyone right now. It's just to be cyber not each is it's a collective effort, for both individuals, organizations, and even the community at large. So it starts from me and you, and it starts from obviously collectively coming together to understand that this is something that we must fight, and we must be able to understand the threats that are evolving daily. Innovations are coming up, so we must embrace that level of innovation, and teach ourselves and embrace, a lot of online learnings that teaches about cybersecurity and how to mitigate against threats that concerns me, you, the organization, and the community at large. So that's one thing I'll give to everyone to take away today. Thanks
so much, Mr. Innocent, and thank you for all our speakers for coming correct. Just to use a bit of a Gen Z term, thank you for coming correct. Thank you for coming and prepared. Thank you for coming with value packed for our audience members and for even anyone who's going to watch this webinar. It have so much value. For me, it's more like a mini masters because it had so much value, and we have speakers from various industries and various expertise. So thank you everyone for joining. We've had a consistent number of participants from the very, I would say the 50 minutes of this call from 10:05 till right now. That is, we don't take that for granted. And that also shows us the feedback that you actually get value from this conversation. So you have not locked off up until this moment. Thank you so much. We're going to do our part to keep advancing conversations that are very much impactful and of course, bring value to businesses, to business owners, and to professionals who work in the tech space and of course non-tech as well. So we're going to share this recording to our YouTube channels. If you're streaming from Facebook or from Instagram, don't worry. There's already a recording on YouTube. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, in case you didn't join at the time, there's also a backlog of previous webinars and previous meetings and series and town hall engagements that we've had. And so please, you could also check that out on our social media. And of course, most importantly, our YouTube has a repository of all of this information and all of these videos for you to digest. And of course, share across your communities. We were speaking about cybersecurity essentials for communities and of course for networks. So you could also do well to share that across your communities. Not to make this longer, thank you so much for joining from all over Nigeria. We had people join from Lagos, from Abuja, and from other secondary cities. We're grateful that you invest this time to improve your knowledge, and we hope that you also take this age as a seed and plant it in the life of others so that we can become a more connected and a more secure society, even as we keep advancing and building technologies for economic empowerment. My name is Imo Asylum. I've been privileged to be your host. And you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. It's the same name, Imo Asylum. And of course, you can also check out our guests and our speakers as well with the same name on LinkedIn and connect with them on other socials. And of course, ask your pressing questions that you were not able to ask on this call. Once again, thank you so much and see you in the next month's webinar. Thank you, team, and thank you, speakers. Thank you, audience members and our communities. Have a great, fantastic rest of your day and week as well. Bye-bye.